Vodafone presents the pre-match.
Welcome back to London, to Birmingham, I should say. So used to saying London, aren't we? But it's not, it's the second city for this week's coverage of ESL One Birmingham. The first ever UK major for $1 million in Dota 2. We're going to crown our very own Kings of Dota at the end of this weekend, but plenty of action before we get there. We've already had a fantastic start to the tournament with an incredible game between Fnatic and EG. We'll be very happy if we get another one like that in our second. Can we dream of such wisdom? I don't know. OG versus ViCi is our next matchup. It's from Group B, and those of you that don't want spoilers, look away now, mute yourself. Done that? Good, because Virtus Pro won their game in Group B, Group A a little bit earlier on against Spirit in under 30 minutes as well, so perhaps no surprise there. The Spirit boys putting up a spirited performance, but not good enough in their opening game. They'll play EG in that group now. As we move on to Group B, we've also had a little change here at the panel, and we welcome Purge and Fold back to the panel. Good afternoon, I think, just about now. Gents, how you doing?
Pretty good.
That was a fun first game, Kevin.
It was very good, yeah.
Yeah.
I was able to watch the other match at the same time, and that one kind of ended predictably, even though Spirit gave it a good fight, but then watching the end of that Fnatic game, that was really fun. I was just watching DJ in-game the whole time, seeing how he was playing it, see how he was adjusting. He was playing it a little differently than most other IO players, and it really worked out late game.
He takes a lot of space. Like, he played so farm heavy that game, and you know, you say, I hope that we get some other games like that. I think we will get some games like that, but I'd be extremely surprised if we see IO not banned in the first phase pretty much 95% of
against
this tournament.
Fnatic from now on. I think that's it. They're done as far as I was concerned this tournament, you'd imagine, wouldn't you? Let's move on to our next matchup. We'll start with OG in this particular matchup against ViCi Gaming. Kevin, we said earlier on the pre-show that they're one of those teams, a bit like EG actually, and a bit like Fnatic, super inconsistent, world-class players, highly talented individuals, great as a team, got great theory crafting in the draft, they've got a great captain or kind of coach come core player in Mad. They've got all the ingredients of a world-class team, and yet on some days you look at them and they're absolutely terrible, and you think, what are they doing in this game? I don't think they know themselves. Some other days you look at them and they're like, they're back, they're brilliant, they're absolutely, but why are they so inconsistent?
It's hard to find that stability sometimes. One thing I maybe don't like about them is they kind of role swap depending on what heroes they get, and I feel like maybe that's causing some of those late game issues where they don't necessarily get on the right path, they don't necessarily close the games out the way they want. And like you said, the other games that I watched them play, they look amazing, and Mad looks like a really solid player, maybe not like the best in the world, but more than solid considering he's been coaching for so long. So it's still a little bit of a question mark.
I do like that point actually, because you know, for some teams and for some role swapping and everything, I can be okay with it. But with this team, I mean, we were looking at some of their replays back there, and there was like in 3 games, in the span of 3 games, it was Seb played mid, he played safe lane, and he played off lane. So he literally just varied between 3 completely different heroes. It was like Spectre, Beastmaster, and then I can't remember what the last hero was.
But
he
play like Razor and stuff.
Something like, like Razor. So it's like they're switching maybe a little bit too much, but I also think that for me, my biggest concern for them is probably No-Tail and Jarex. They've been really underperforming, in my opinion, to where I hold them at regard. I think both these guys have their superstar heroes, and even right now, when they are playing them sometimes, they just feel like they're lackluster.
I would say like one way that Mad does lack is that sometimes he'll go on fights that aren't the most ideal. Like normally when you watch a high-level pro team, and I would definitely put OG within high level, they're not the best, but you know, they're good. I would say that most high-level teams, when they start fights, everybody knows it's a good time to start a fight, and sometimes Mad will make small engagement mistakes like that, where the other team might not be there to back them up, and that can get them into a fight that they could lose, which could cascade the game. So once in a while I see that happening. It's not super consistent, but that can be enough to throw your ability to win a tournament just out of there.
Yeah, maybe not enough to ruin the entire game plan, but definitely sort of feeding into the inconsistency, I guess, of this
hard to win a major when you have a couple games once in a while that you have a game where you get really behind because of one missed team fight. It's really hard to be the best team in the world. You have to be consistent every fight, every engagement.
Talking of consistency, their opponents here, ViCi Gaming, they have had a consistent season. When you look at it overall, you're kind of like, well, they're always the bridesmaid, they never really win anything, but they're still in the top 8. They've been in the top 8 for seemingly the entire season. They finished second 4 times at both majors and minors throughout the DPC as well. It's the VG curse, right? Until VGJ Storm won one, their Thunder team and
Thunder also set
three runners-up spots for them, 4 for VG, 1 for VG Storm. Finally, Storm win a tournament, but that's ended that curse. But joking aside, that they still need more points. Like, they're not absolutely safe in that top 8. And here's an opportunity. This is a big opportunity these next 5 days to win a major for a change.
Oh, definitely. I actually have them like placing top 3, I think, in this tournament. I was really confident in them when I was watching them because of the way that their diversity. They're not really afraid, it seems like, and I'm glad to see that, because at DAC I was a little concerned for them when I was watching them, in particular from Lanem. Some of the stuff he was doing, I think he's like the in-game caller, shot caller, so their shot calling was a little weird, but now I've been seeing much crisper decision making in their games, the ways that they're varying as well, like I was talking about. They picked the Tide Hunter, and now people know, yeah, it's more than likely the support Tide Hunter, but it was kind of like that, oh, we didn't know, nobody thought that was going to come out there, so I do like that, and I know you don't love ViCi because of their playstyle, but they're they're very safe, and they've always been very consistent.
Look, I'm just going to put it out there, I don't criticize teams that often in terms of the way that I watch them play, because I think they're all incredibly skilled individuals and they do things that I could never dream of. But as a fan, when I watch VG from home, when I watch them in another tournament, they bore the crap out of me. Like, come on, guys, do something fun. Dive the tier 4s or something, or I don't know, just do something like Fnatic did their last game. But they are so methodical, Kevin. I think actually you kind of forgive them for being a bit boring because they want to win. They're being very careful. I remember they were 30k gold up at DAC against the, I can't remember who they're playing with, 30k up. And they're still getting a tower and then falling back. Getting 1 racks, falling back. And you just, come on, guys, you're 30k ahead.
It depends what you like. For me, a team like ViCi Gaming is up my alley because they do weird stuff that other teams don't do, like play support Tide Hunter. I watched like 3 of those replays backstage. I probably didn't need to. I could have looked at other aspects of the game, but I'm interested in seeing them setting the meta in ways that are different, like picking heroes that are a little bit less typical, and then seeing how they play around that. So. Support Tide Hunter looked semi-viable when they played. It's really good at the laning stage, which is important in the dual off lanes, and then they can maybe get other heroes to work as well. They've been doing like offlane Naga consistently with like Meteor Hammer rushes. That's cool to watch. I think that's exciting about it for me. Maybe I don't sit around for the full game and I don't watch them all the time, but if they have these moments of cool things, I'm always happy to tune in.
You're always down for it. Yeah, I mean, I think alongside themselves and LGD, they've been the 2 inventive teams coming out of China this year. Newbie have often been criticized as being very stale, and then since January, you know, it's like the Naga, Disrupt, you kind of get used to the same things, and then they get them banned, they've kind of got a gyro, and then, you know, they've got these kind of set plans that you can see from the outside, and they haven't changed. LGD, though, they have changed up. They've got all over the place, very Western looking, changing. Right?
Yeah.
And VG are not far behind them in inventiveness, are they?
Yeah, I think they've definitely been improving. Like mine was at DAC when I was very concerned from it, and then since then I think like everything's just looking way better overall. I mean, Paparazzi's always been an absolute monster, and someone who doesn't get much of the attention is Fenrir. Their ward and their vision game is usually absolutely phenomenal on this team. Like, they play so well with their 2 supports, and that's probably the, you know, I feel like sometimes that gets a little overshadowed by, you know, Paparazzi being this, like, getting like 19 last hits a minute or something on Luna where he just absolutely decimates the game. I think it's really important to watch the 2 supports. Yeah,
I mean, he's right in a way, Kevin, isn't he? Paparazzi always gets the headlines, always has done when he's been with this team. Ori often, you know, gets a bit of both. I think he sometimes cops a bit of flack sometimes for being a bit inconsistent or a bit wayward in the game. 11 has been at various points called the best offlaner.
Or inconsistent.
Or inconsistent again. But we very rarely talk about the two supporters, but they have been fantastic. Obviously, legendary players in their own right, both Lanham and Fenrir.
I mean, I've for so long, I love Fenrir, watching that guy. When the FY Fenrir thing, I was just like, man, everybody's like, FY God, I'm like, no, look at Fenrir, man. Look at him. He's playing Lich every game, and he's doing, but yeah, of course.
It's very easy to get overshadowed when you're playing with the FY. Yeah, but Fenrir has been very, very consistent from his position.
All right, draft underway for this best-of-1 opening game in Group B. OG versus ViCi Gaming. Important match for both of these two. They would like to have a straightforward run to the semi-finals if they can possibly get it. Of course, just a reminder for you as well, if you're at home and you're thinking, oh yeah, if they win the group, they go through. Not quite that straightforward, because we do have the playoff between the 3 group winners, which will decide the 2 teams that advance directly to the semi-finals, and one obviously will then fall to the quarterfinals. But at least they will, if they win their group, they'll at least get out of the groups. So that to look forward to as these bans are underway.
Bans make sense.
Yeah.
I think maybe the PL maybe is the only one that's a little bit weird, but the other 4 that I see, other 5 that I see actually look pretty ideal. Kunkka, we saw No-Tail owning with it recently. Yep. IO, no comment. Lone Druid, I think No-Tail when he plays Micro Heroes is probably one of my favorites, so I want him playing Lone Druid Visage, something like that.
Right.
Everybody bans that versus OG in the first phase, it seems like. Yeah. They just don't want to deal with the Lone Druid. Makes sense.
Yeah. And the Bane's been a popular first ban as well.
It seems like the bans are kind of very team specific. Like the meta is not so much like these are the 6 best heroes. It's more like these are the 3 heroes that everybody bans against X team because it really fits their playstyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Lycan has been heavily banned though, isn't it? And
it's like a little. It's been picked a moderate amount.
Yeah.
Like I guess what looks so good about it to me is that like it lanes pretty well. There are some heroes that punish it, but it's not a huge amount. And then you get a Helm of the Dominator, and then you hit this like mid game where you can kind of just appear somewhere and with a wolf form and just like really make sure that somebody dies. So it's like, and then go back to farming really fast and be able to pressure towers. So he's like good at laning, good at mid game tempo and rotations to get a kill into a tower, and then just hitting towers at all stages also good.
we've got a sorry, we've got a first pick Night Stalker for OG.
For me, when I see the Lycan, it's when I see like Lycan and Beastmaster, those two, it's just like, all right, objective secured, let's worry about the rest of the game. Now we can start to look at what else we need and all that. Okay, Night Stalker first picked, and that was from OG.
Night Stalker for OG, and ViCi have opened up with a clock.
Okay.
Not too weird. Can be played multiple roles, but it's kind of I've seen it in a lot of openings from the replays I've been watching from lots of different teams to just pick it up in the first phase.
Ooh, okay. It's a DK opening for ViCi Gaming, so they've got a DK clock opening. I tell you what, they're 6-0 on that since 7.12 as well.
ViCi tends to usually have like, they always have like their team fight. They always have like one building hitter. They always make sure that they have like, we can win a fight, we take objectives. For the most part in most of their drafts, either like a Luna they have, a Lycan they have, or something along those lines, or Beastmaster, blah blah blah.
I actually like where DK is as a hero right now. He doesn't feel like broken like he was before with attack speed and damage perks. Now he's just like, he does DK things, but he doesn't also transition to a carry super well. But still worth picking up at the first phase because of what it offers in lane stability, as well as being able to take buildings and stuns.
What do you think of him in the off lane? Because that's been tried a little bit, isn't it?
I'm okay with it. I think it's depending on like lane match. It's like you see a Razor or something. You're trying to dodge lanes,
and then you're moving it around. It's not something you would draft thinking we're going to play this in the off lane.
Unless you're super confident. Like I wouldn't think. I like DK in when you open it like this versus Night Stalker, because Night Stalker is all about you moving around the map trying to pick up. But when we've talked about it so many times, right? If you group up and you just start pushing and you're a Night Stalker, you're just like, uh-oh. Like even if you have like Aghanims or whatever, you're just this Night Stalker.
Yeah, and even ganking mid against a potential Dragon Knight is not the easiest when he has so much armor and regen. So
popular OG hero in the form of Lesh. Yeah, they played that 11 times since 7.12.
So around the start of MDL, they were getting it a few times. They lost some of their first sets, and then later on in the rest of the tournament, everybody was just banning it first phase. And it also does a thing for OG where it basically roll swaps him instantly, because S4 always plays it because that's his favorite hero. He said that at tournaments before. So with S4 playing Leshrac, now we could see Matt go off lane, play something like Beastmaster. Maybe could dictate the rest of the draft too much.
They do vary a little bit though, right?
Yeah.
They put him in the off lane sometimes. They do like aggro dual lanes and stuff. For the most, lately he's been playing mostly the mid Lesh, but yeah, they could, I guess, maybe switch it.
It's interesting because we moved away from a meta probably before Christmas and then a little bit afterwards, where the value picks in the first part of the draft fogged were always the ones that were multi-lane. Right, so things that you could play in different positions were always good value first 2 picks. OG seem to be finding value in picking stuff that is player specific. It's almost like they'll move around rather than the heroes can move around in their team. I don't necessarily think it works all the time, but is it partly, Kevin, because there are specific heroes that certain players, like the Lesh, for instance, we know S4 is going to play?
I mean, it's a modifier. Like there's like benefits of adjusting that stuff constantly, but I think lane matchups are probably the most important. And then you can being able to roll swap it as well does give you even more flexibility. Night Stalker could be off lane, Leshrac could be the mid, could be support. I guess they basically have 2 factors in that. They have roles and they also have lane options, so could give them the ultimate better draft in the end.
They usually run this as support Night Stalker though, right?
Yep.
I think for them, at least. I've seen other teams running as offlane, but...
Saw the Warlock banned in the first game as well. I think that was a first round ban from either EG or Fnatic as well.
Yeah, there's a couple teams that really like Warlock, it seems like. It's a very good lane stabilizer, basically, because there's so many aggressive dual lanes that if you throw a Warlock in somewhere, it can just make sure that somebody's constantly healed or harassed. And then Fatal Bonds is an offensive tool for AoE kind of lineups is just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the heal is just so nice now, because lately I feel like I've just been seeing, we're talking about a lot of these dual lanes, but it's a lot about just, you pressure. You just throw your spells, constantly spamming to get them low, and now it's like Warlock's just like, okay, I have the best counter of that in the game. At least in the early levels, it's one of the strongest nukes/heals. So they ban out the Brew, another hero that OG plays a lot for No Tail. And another micro hero. That's always what I'm looking for him.
And S4 as well. I don't know if he plays it that often. It's like once in a while, but definitely one of their strong heroes.
Taking out the Luna, that's, I think, pretty smart, especially when we've seen, I mean, Paparazzi plays the Luna a lot. I think he broke some records the other day with his last hits of Luna too.
It's like a solid phase 2 ban, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially when there's a Dragon Knight too, and you're running Night Stalker. Luna benefits a bit from nighttime for the vision at least. So.
I guess the heroes I'm thinking about OG going for is something like maybe Underlord and like Death Prophet maybe. For now, they need something that can like create some space for Leshrac to let Leshrac do unlimited damage stuff, and Night Stalker alone isn't going to be able to solve that.
Yeah, they definitely do want another frontliner.
Because like when your opponent's open clockwork like this, like it's just wants to pick off supports that can't defend themselves very well, or just get chain stunned to oblivion. So somebody like Leshrac is slightly vulnerable to that.
Doom for ViCi.
What they can go for? I was gonna say Underlord or Baden, one of those type of heroes, just like you said, the frontliner that can make the space. But now that's a Doom, kind of messes with things a little bit. Maybe something like I would say Centaur too, but that's usually S4 playing it.
I don't think I like Centaur this game anyways. He's against 3 strength heroes, are all tanky. Like Centaur's better at bursting or stuns mattering more, and against really tanky high HP heroes, stuns aren't as important, I find.
Okay. I was thinking the disengage for the Doom.
Okay, that's fair. Might be hard with clock.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just thinking like the heroes that I see them play, you know, like the Underlord of Baden, Doom and Centaur. I don't know what other tanky ones.
I just like Underlord a lot this game because ViCi's all high HP themselves, which usually leads to them not doing the most damage. So then if you can mitigate some of that with Underlord, plus Firestorm doing percentage-based damage, it'll create some of that like gap close while also being offensively strong.
Yeah, no, I definitely do like. I think Underlord does look best. They could probably pick it in the next pick. But they just go for Witch Doctor. They're trying to secure their lane. They see the Doom. They can try to contest that. Oh!
Okay. I mean, Witch Doctor is one of Fly's best heroes. When Witch Doctor started getting really popular, it was like the hero that OG dominated with every single game. The hero's been nerfed a little bit. Now it's fallen off the radar a little, but can still be good here, depending on what they pair it with. But a Shadow Demon is really surprising.
What's going to be ViCi's pairing with the SD? Because I love the SD when I'm seeing these type of Yules heroes. When I see Leshrac, Death Prophet and stuff, you throw Demonic Purge on them, the Yules gets instantly dispelled. You use yourself and you don't even go up in the air. You instantly land. So that can be a pretty neat thing they can go for.
That's basically the best thing Shadow Demon has going for him right now. Like his recent buff, but pretty much ignored. But could be very useful here. But past that, I really don't like Shadow Demon very much. I feel like he has laning issues. He's not nearly as good as a lot of other dual lanes. Maybe he can be pressured there. But against something like a Night Stalker and a Witch Doctor, it's great because they want to blow one guy up. And if you just disrupt that guy and disjoint some of that damage or give him a second to get his BKB off, that could be huge.
Yeah, something that ViCi played a lot 4 or 5 months ago. They played it at Genting, they played it at Star Ladder, and they played it at Captain's Draft. And they played it in China as well. So something they played a lot. They haven't actually played that Shadow Demon for 2 months though.
Wow. Has anybody?
Do you think that OG should probably ban out the Morphling as the last ban?
Yeah, that was my initial thought. It's like some illusion hero that will be able to, they'll create illusions to siege towers if they need to.
Especially now they have Gyro too. It's like, I think Morphling is kind of glaring for me for ViCi.
And I guess they're not the best. I mean, they have Night Stalker against Morph, which is pretty good. Witch Doctor is not the best because.
But they've got the Shadow Demon. That's the important thing, right? Is that he can always mess with their combo of trying to lock that guy down.
Yeah, it's both basically. Like
I would think Jug and Morphling to me look like the 2 ones that I would imagine Paparazzi would play in this.
Yeah.
If they do something, who's Shadow Demon going to lane with is the other question. Like if they do Shadow Demon with Morphling in a lane, that sounds really bad to me. Like maybe they want to let that through if they could pressure the lane somehow.
Maybe.
They banned out the Omni, ViCi.
Unless they lane it with like Doom or something and then just accept that Doom is going to have a slightly worse lane than normal. So that's the biggest biggest weakness of SD right now.
Okay.
And Paparazzi, by the way, is just 3 games off completing 100 games on Juggernaut.
He's like I feel like he's like the only guy I see play Juggernaut.
Right. Does feel like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's also played it 7 times in the last 3 months, which is his most played hero alongside the OD.
Yeah, they banned the Morphling.
Yeah.
I think I even think the Omni ban is even more telling, because then they're like, all right, Guardian Angel to counter the flak of them or something, like maybe something like they're thinking like that. But I mean, it could have been a million other things probably.
Yeah, it's definitely safer just to ban the Morphling, to not have to worry about the flak morph.
So I think I'd probably Jug then for ViCi. Well, for OG, I mean, Underlord still sounds okay.
Mm. Who do we think is playing it though?
It's really passive though. They have really bad
Yeah,
gank right now.
they
Is the
do.
problem. They need like some kind of a tempo offlane, based on them having like Gyro, Lesh.
Most of their usual options are taken out. Okay, so they go for Void.
So probably offlane Night Stalker, I guess. Is this going to be like mid Gyro and carry Void? No, that doesn't work out either, does it?
It's
It
offensive.
does, I guess.
It's like
It's a puzzle, all of its own.
Wait, it's Slash mid, Gyro.
Shadow Demon's
Gyro
also,
safe, Void off, right?
I guess.
Yeah, I would think Void off.
Night Stalker, Witch Doctor
And
supports.
Shadow Demon's also really happy now because now he can disrupt somebody that gets chronoed. He can
Yeah.
counteract that big team fight ability. I think ViCi's going to be pretty happy seeing the Void there, but OG did have to go some kind of like an initiator gang team fight thing.
Ooh,
Whoa, whoa.
old
Okay.
school Queen
That
of Pain.
got changes coming out here.
Yeah.
So no official carry for ViCi Gaming,
Yeah.
which is a little bit weird.
That's not something I usually see them actually doing when they always tend to have some very hard right clicker.
Maybe they felt like they needed something that could be just dominant enough on the lane. Again, my SD is weak at laning point. Throw Quap with him or something, and then just pressure, just keep daggering the Faceless Void, put the Queen of Pain wherever the Void is, cast dagger on him constantly, you can't time walk the damage. Maybe they just win that lane better because
That's
of
a
it.
good point.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you which team you're going to go for, but I'm going to ask you which draft you prefer, Fogged. Which draft do you like out of these two?
You know, I actually think I do like ViCi's, to be honest. It's not so much of their style. They usually do have like that hardcore physical hitter, but they've ran similar things like this before when they have like Death Prophet. So, oh god, am I really saying that I like a Queen of Pain lineup actually?
With no carry.
With no carry.
It's weird. It's hard to say.
All right, strict draft-wise, OG, I guess. But ViCi, I think ViCi is just a better team, so I think that they'll
Okay.
take it. So.
All right, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty much the same way. I just think OG's very reliant on that Chronosphere being good, and if they can play around it correctly with like Shadow Demon and other heroes, it's going to be hard to set tempo with that one cooldown ultimate.
Okay. All right, it's going to be a fun game between these two. Let's bring in our commentary team for game number 2. We welcome Capitalist and Blitz. How you doing, gents?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah,
Looking
fun
forward
draft.
to this. Yeah, I think it's
very interesting.
it's definitely interesting. I'm not sure where ViCi Gaming is certainly going for this one. ViCi Gaming, I mean, they had that second place at Katowice, and most recently they had the top of their groups into only a third place at MDL. I think this team has struggled to be able to solidify themselves as a first place contender. And here in this matchup against OG, a team who seems kind of on the rise. I mean, they start off at the bottom of the barrel early on in this season, but it feels like they're kind of getting up there, right? They
won
making
an
it through
event.
groups. Yeah, they won an event. They've also been, was it Epicenter? They made it out top of their groups, even if the playoffs didn't go so well. So it seems like OG's kind of on the rise.
I think they're sort of a team like the other OG, where they're just like steadily improving little by
Yeah.
little.
I can feel that. For me, this battle is, I love the off-lane matchup between this, right? You've got Old 11, and he's playing Doom. And then you've got S4, who's playing a signature Leshrac. For me, that's what really encompasses these two teams.
Yeah, Old 11's gonna die like 8 times in the first like 12 minutes.
And he's not going to give a damn.
He's not.
He's going to rise right back up from hell and charge at you again.
I don't know how I always get to cast Old 11 games, and I always make this joke, but it's not really a joke.
Yeah.
It's kind of just how he does.
Yeah.
Look at that man. That guy doesn't care if he dies 8 times in lane.
I will tell you, and Blitz, you know this, like, I am not the biggest Old 11 fan.
Why not?
But I know a lot of offlaners, pro players, who are big fans of Old 11. And that's because he's got exceptional laning phase, right? Like, he just seems to have an understanding that death doesn't matter to him.
Yeah, it's like
And he will run at the enemy carry.
It's
The
the
enemy
long
carry is going to be
game.
very unhappy for them.
it's the long game. You just realize like we made that joke where it's like offlaners don't read social media. It's like that guy doesn't check S-Gamer or Reddit or whatever the Weibo is.
Yep.
That man's is off the internet.
He cuts the cord
Yeah, he
every
just-
single night. When he's done screaming for the night, done.
He does not know they even exist. He's like, "What are you guys up to?" He's like, "Just checking the social media." He's like,
Yeah,
"What's
when
that?"
he goes to LAN events, he's like, oh, there are people watching us. I didn't know that.
That guy doesn't care. You genuinely don't have to care with how often Old 11 dies. And that's the crazy part. That's why I'm such a big fan of him, is that at some point, you must be thinking in your head, like, man, my team is going to blame me for this game. And he just doesn't care. And it's like you're a pro's pro, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, maybe the general public will never understand your genius. But the people that, that really have to care about it.
The people who have to be in that position, who play the off lane, who actually have died, who feel that pressure of like, oh God, I'm dying a lot. They watch this guy and they're like, damn, I wish I had that kind of confidence.
Playing off lane is like playing chicken. He's like, who will give up on dying first? I guarantee you 11's winning that game is he's going to level up the Infernal Blade, walks in, and they're going to go for
straight up
Fenrir
Fenrir.
first.
He's already dead. He's caught by the missile.
100% dead.
Stunned by S4, and he's down.
There are a lot of heroes up there. I don't think they anticipated S4 making that rotation too, but if you notice in mid lane, Jerax is going to block for him.
Yeah, that's the thing, is a lot of mid laners usually sit back, right? They're blocking out the creep wave, but here the support does it, freeing up the Leshrac to head top. Managed to get an early first blood.
Jerax even won the block for him against a mid laner.
And Ori, well, is he DK? So it's not like he's going to be too upset about this. A DK can always just kind of persevere through whatever trials and tribulations come up through his laning phase. But it does mean that OG is going to be running the off-lane Faceless Void, which I'm not so sure I'm the biggest fan of.
Let's say no-tail off-lane Faceless Void. I think that positionless Dota, though, is the way to go right now. Like in the NBA, they have like positionless basketball. Nowadays, we're going to have positionless Dota, where everyone should just be able to play everything. That's like where the real talent of the game comes into play right now.
Okay, but if we're going to continue on the... Laya is actually kind of blocked in here by the illusions. Fenrir, beautiful disruption by him. Seb is going to try and come in, bail out Fly, but he's already dead. He does have the missile heading into Fenrir, so it looks like they're going to be able to trade out supports here. But now Lonham is going to join the fray as well. Managed to get the battery assault, a little bit of damage onto Seb, but a slow from the Void will allow Seb to be able to disengage, dodging some of that damage. Going back to your NBA knowledge here, I would say the NBA right now is very star power based though.
Yes.
And it feels like OG, they kind of lack that star power.
I kind of disagree with you on this one. I think that S4 is a bona fide superstar in his own right. I think this guy is one of the most consistent players in Dota. He is a do-it-all player. Like if next season, for whatever reason, he decides like, I want to play 4, he's going to be great at it. You know it
That's
too.
True.
He's just a good Dota player.
So we're pretty much like all writing this game on S4. And it seems like we're frequently doing that with OG.
I don't think it's the worst plan. I think that they realize like, okay, well, we need somebody who's our best laner. And it will be, in all honesty, it's just S4. Like out of the 3 of them, he's their best laner. It makes, in my mind anyways, like very clear sense that he is playing this role. Clearly he has not missed much of a beat whatsoever.
And maybe that's why it's a good thing that Ori is going to be playing a Dragon Knight, a hero that's relatively unimpeded by a bad laning phase.
I mean, DK doesn't care.
Through. Yeah. Lonham trying to cut over that double damage they had earlier. Okay, S4.
Okay, he gets the Tokyo Drift off.
Yeah, he could have coxed him.
There was like,
he could have popped Mango and got battery assault. There was a lot of.
He would have killed him. He has a DD.
Yeah.
Level 1 battery assault, if you're isolated in the river like that, you will die. Plus,
a big nuke. Seb dropping dangerously low. Fortunately, the Voodoo Restoration is barely keeping him alive right now. Managed to get back to the trees, and 11 will give up chase. Meanwhile, bottom lane, a timely bash. And now the silence will follow it up. They might just be able to finish off the Queen of Maid. No, can't get the blink up. Big Daddy No Tail secures a kill on Queen of Pain. Paparazzi goes down.
That is surprising.
Very surprising, especially given the fact the panel already covered that ViCi Gaming, this is not their typical draft. Normally, they have Paparazzi on some sort of kind of more hard farming hero that gives a lot of physical damage. Instead, this is a safe lane Queen of Pain. That hero should not be dying. Laning phase, top lane, Fly into big trouble. A huge nuke comes in from the Satyr Blast. Thanks to that Doom. They got a little lucky on the spawns. That Satyr is the absolute best creep you can ask for in the laning phase.
I should highlight as well that Jerax's decision to go for the Crippling Fear at level 2. Oftentimes when you're Night Stalker, it's very likely that you're only level 2 when the first nighttime comes in. And I think he's realized that. He's like, well, he's committing now. He's got 2-1-0. That means nighttime doesn't really do a whole lot for him.
He won't have
your
that
silence will be
rotation
a little bit better.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the speed of the Night Stalker.
especially against a Clockwork, where that flight is usually such a good counter to being locked down by the Cogs. Jerix will not have that tool to utilize unless he sticks around to pick up his level 4 while No Tail heads back to base. And that looks like that might just happen here.
He's going to get harassed up a little bit. Paparazzi should be aware of this now, that this Night Stalker doesn't have a level of Hunter in the Night quite yet, but so playing it a little bit back right now.
They have to harass him a little bit more, and he does have a rotation coming in from the Clockwork. Maybe they've made that call.
Yeah, I think they should know. Like, this is a Night Stalker that can't take flight.
No Tail does spot him out. Meanwhile, top lane, Seb is going to have to TP back to base. Just feeling the presence of the Doom right now.
And this is the thing that the Doom does best, is at some point this guy will win the offlane. He trades much more efficiently than you. He has the best creep in the game. For the early game trade, just so much HP regen. He's got a passive 9.2 a second. There's almost nobody that can take
test the bounty rune. Lanham does manage to sneak it away from him, but he's going to be double slowed. One by time dilation, the other by the void. Gets up to the other bounty rune though. Gets both of them. ViCi Gaming get all 4 of them. So even if Lanham dies here, which he's going to try and go for maybe a deny in the Ancients, thinks better of it, goes into the high ground. Now trying to juke his way back down. Finally, Bash comes out from No Tail, and Jerix will snag the kill.
Absolute worth right now. That's 4 bounty runes for your team.
Oh, fly super low. Fenrir being chased down by the missile. Not going to be able to get the good battery assault damage in. Doom just picks up the kill after the void. TP's back. Fenrir, though, with a Maledict on him. Probably going to have to give up his life here. Heads into the trees.
Nice moves.
Maledict is now gone. He's going to TP away. Jerix doesn't have a flight to be able to reveal Fenrir.
Unreal.
They both get out safely.
So well done by ViCi. They understand no stun onto that Doom. Can't cancel his TP. He's got 12. He's got like 10 HP regen a second. Very unlikely he dies anyways.
Yeah.
With TP out on the Shadow Demon. No Tail just didn't see, or Mad didn't see him make that juke move.
Yeah. Oh, an Invis rune for Lanham. Does feel like the more static nature, since we do have this Night Stalker who's not really rotating around as much. Lanham is getting a lot of value out of all these runes. He's getting first the double damage, now the invis that might just turn into a kill onto S4. He's set up right now, he's going to go for it with the level 6 onto the Dragon Knight, or he can easily help out outside of the range of Cogs and burst down S4. They're going to try and get a counter kill here onto Lanham. Jerix slowing him down with Maledict on top, should be pretty easy. A lot of damage already in Ori. He's going to have to back up rather than trying to get some more damage on those supports.
That's going to abandon
the support's gone at top lane. Seb is in some serious trouble, but he's going to juke his way through the trees. That was a cute little maneuver. Still caught by Fenrir, though. Disruption out. TP in from the Witch Doctor. ViCi Gaming will give up on that, but they put in pressure, they force TPs, and that's what they're trying to do all the time here in this top lane. 11, making himself the target here, making sure this tri-lane can't really have anybody to go on because his regen is just way too high. He's too tanky of a beast. Lana trying to join in from behind, getting some damage onto Jerix, clearing the way for 11 to be able to back out here. 11 dropping dangerously low, but so is Seb. Seb has to give up chase as the missile lands onto the Doom. Our tri-lane versus tri-lane scenario here, the top lane will end up in an even bout.
Still, this gyrocopter does not feel good about this kind of pressure right now. The 2 supports on the side of OG feels like they don't have necessarily a game to play. They're playing very reactive right now. ViCi, comfortable with how the lanes have gone so far. So they're going to make another rotation. Fenrir going to catch out Fly. Fly, no mana left on him.
He knows. He just stands there, right-clicks wherever he can. Oh, the Doom out, level 6, picked up. The gyrocopter is dropping low, but he is far enough away that he's no longer taking that damage. Fenrir tries to get some shots up, but it looks like the gyrocopter should live. And Jerix is fast enough to get back to that tier 1 tower. ViCi Gaming, one of 4 away. They know the daytime's coming in, and he may not have any sort of reprieve. He does have a TP scroll, does have the phase boots as well. So he can stay a little ahead of Lana way here, but he's going to have to pull out his juke shoes, try and get away from this one. Disruption out, stuck inside the trees with an illusion, block him in. Phase boots through it.
What? He goes the other way.
Here. S4 running into Lanham, does have his ultimate though, so he can get that damage over time, but Lanham just pushes him out with the Cogs. A little bit of flat cannon damage, but nothing should come of it.
I feel like Jerix shouldn't have lived there as the stun flies in onto Fly. The TP from S4 is going to do enough to force Ori back.
And all this is happening, I feel like ViCi Gaming is putting pressure on OG, and they're forcing these rotations, they're forcing these very long TP cooldowns out, and this is all without Paparazzi.
Right now, we haven't really seen any of the cores aside from S4 move around and Ori.
That magic damage is so dangerous.
stunned up. Here comes
but a big
Paparazzi.
nuke comes out for Paparazzi, cleaving them both down. Ori will TP back to base just to make sure the Maledict can't do its damage. Finally, we bring up the fact that Paparazzi's not making any rotations.
No, you
Soon
move
as
your
we
cores
say that-
around. That is how Dota is played. That is how OG taught the world to play Dota. Remember, this was the team that had no tail at like level 4, just move around, create space for his team. I remember probably the most iconic thing is he'd hit 6 on Jug, just immediately run mid with his healing ward and his ult, try to pick up a kill in the mid tower. This time around, it's just ViCi being a lot faster, making the first moves. And I think part of it too is their very strong laning phase. 11 playing this Doom with the Satyr creep has applied so much pressure to this gyrocopter, and that's just forced OG to constantly kind of be in the area, but you can't really kill this Doom, especially when Fenrir's there.
Yeah, you and I have talked about like how the meta is kind of transformed right now, and it feels like when you set up these drafts, these Skywrath axes or these Dooms.
Hold that dot.
We do have
11.
homing missiles going to come in. They're going to try and target 11. No, they're going to go for the supports. Fly's just sorting them back. Fenrir is definitely dead. Once again, S4 moving up to that top lane, knowing that it has just been such a thorn in Sebastian's side that he's trying to help out that lane to get this gyrocopter a little bit more farmed.
Yeah, but this is the problem right now, and the dilemma that they run into is they rotate a core, but all they get out of it is a support. Fenrir is the second lowest net worth in the game. As here comes
Whoa,
the Chrono.
Chronosphere, but he has to run all the way around. S4 is here to be able to combo up with the stun. Split
It's gonna be enough.
makes an easy kill.
Nice pickup for OG. They needed something like that. We were talking about the rotations that No-Tail normally makes. Almost always feels like it's going to come to that mid lane. They really needed something like that. Just slow down the momentum of ViCi, as all 3 of their cores are very successful right now.
And it's both the strength and weakness, right? The Queen of Pain feels like you couldn't really aggro dual lane her, right?
Yes.
It's not a hero you can pressure very easily, excluding that like kind of freak scenario where they did manage to get the kill thanks to the silence. Not gonna happen too often. But at the same time, you let this hero get a bunch of farm, one Chronosphere, and she's gonna die.
Yes. It's a very nice pickup there, as in mid lane.
They're gonna go
make
for
the
S4.
rotation. He's getting low.
Very dead. The Sonic Wave's gonna make sure to finish him off. Gyrocopter making the rotation a bit too late to do anything. A low of 11 is just gonna challenge that Gyrocopter wherever he goes.
11?
They're gonna try and secure this tier 1 tower. He's just, again, making himself a target so the rest of his team is free to be able to move around, go for this tier 1 tower.
Jerax trying to go for the deny.
But now he's gonna be caught. He's gonna try and fly away, but he doesn't have any mana. He's just 2 mana short and far too slow to get there.
He's going to go down. I think it was an okay attempt. I see a lot of people, especially supports nowadays, suicide for that tower deny. Would have been a big win for them if they were successful in this, but instead, gonna walk away empty-handed.
Hey, just another thing that Doom is mega value right now. Halmadam being such a big thing, you could just devour that creep, boom, 200 gold.
Hey, do you really want to eat the Centaur creep, though?
Yeah, 200 gold is 200 gold.
It's like the kale of creeps. Just like not in love with it.
Well, I mean, maybe when he gets that Shadow Blade, that's done a whole lot better.
Yeah, I guess.
It'll be a tasty kale treat.
All right, so it's Witch Doctor right now, level 5 at 12 minutes. He needs to pick up some levels too. They just need more damage right now. His Death Ward combo with No-Tail will be incredibly strong. Should be able to get most heroes down. I'd imagine No-Tail probably goes for a Shadow Blade this game, the Silver Edge being very good against the Dragon Knight. More importantly, it's the anti-split push mechanic. When the Queen of Pain tries to split the map up, you'll almost always just be able to get solo kills on her.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Paparazzi is taking that tier 1 tower at the top lane while S4 is doing the same thing at bottom.
You see his build, by the way?
Dire's
Paparazzi,
top tower
the decision to go for the Aghanim Scepter. I think he wants to speed up
Radiant's
the
bottom
game a little bit. The
Okay.
cooldowns are so long on the side of ViCi. To be able to fight, you get that 60-second ult, just be able to spam it.
Yeah. Good farming mechanism as well.
Or 40 seconds, sorry.
Oh, Jerax. Or he's going to pop the DK form just to make sure they can't get this stun on the Night Stalker. He's going to try and fly away, but he's going to be slowed down by Paparazzi.
Oh, he
Again,
is
just
incredibly
giving
dead.
up his life. At the same time, Lanham also found Fly, so both the supports end up dying, and they make a quick push into the tier 2. Lanham trying to get in front of S4 here as he goes for the tier 1 tower push, but he's just going to be met with death. OG They see that tier 2 push and quickly surround that mid tier 1 tower.
I like this play from OG right now. There's almost no way for you to contest up at top. The way that you contest towers is you have to be pre-set up to be able to do so. Heroes need to be around that area, and look at what ViCi are doing. They really want to try to defend this out. It's such a high HP tower, and that's going to force OG then to make the rotation up the top. A lot of moving pieces right now. Jerax, 1 second, gets the stun.
S4 will be able to follow this up. He's got plenty of damage to be able to bring Ori down, especially
In
with
mid lane.
Maledict. At the same time, they're going to try and go for that mid lane kill, see if Doom is going to be forced back. 11. ViCi Gaming may have lost Ori, but 11 does manage to keep that tier 1 mid tower alive and pretty decent HP as well.
Yeah, that felt like ViCi just wanting a little bit too much.
Getting too greedy?
It was like, okay, we're going to take this top tower and we're going to defend our mid tower. It just feels like you're doing a little bit too much there.
You think given the pace of game, they should have just been happy. Even if they're not okay with losing their mid-tier 1 tower, they should just be okay with the trade-off, just because too many moving pieces like that just means that you could get picked off.
I think the idea was okay, just the execution was wrong. Because if you show that everybody leaves from top, it represents like somebody...
Jarek's just going to YOLO
exactly.
down. He
He's
knows
just gonna run in.
people are TPing.
And then it makes the mid push or the mid pick off a lot less successful. So in Dota, you always have to represent this type of bait, right? You have to like show at least one hero. You have to risk something.
Right.
You can't just get everything there. And that was just ViCi playing it a little bit too close to the edge and OG reacting very quickly. But I do think that going for the mid defense, as we talked about at length in our cast, I think the mid tier 1 tower means so much, especially for the Radiant side. It controls your entire part of the jungle. It makes it so that OG can't get so familiar. It allows this Night Stalker to play very aggressively normally. So here comes...
Disruption into Lana, maybe gonna go for the hook.
They don't have a
Instead,
shrine.
Just a straight up Doom. The mass TP's coming in, but the shrine is not available for S4 to be able to heal off of. So all these heroes, they're just trickling in one by one, possibly into their Doom.
Hotel.
But Sebastian is getting some good damage out. They're gonna be able to finish off on him, and they catch the Chronosphere onto the Doom. But Paparazzi is still gonna fight this one out. Managed to get
11
the
is
silence
so
before,
tanky.
or he can actually get a stun out, but still, 11 survives through that Chronosphere. Paparazzi gets a little bit too far forward. Battery Assault threatening him away, forcing him outside of that tier 2 tower. But Ori, since he already has his ultimate,
man.
Paparazzi had
He
the
knew.
correct read. Just a little bit too shy.
Just a beat away. We see the problem right now, the Void. Not quite strong enough yet.
I mean, the damage is just abysmal.
Yeah, he
Trying to go for
did
a
nothing
hero
to him.
like Doom.
And Doom's only got 3 armor, but he's got 1,700 health right now. No tail. Doesn't have a Mask of Madness, no Shadow Blade or anything like that.
Yeah.
You go for the Helm of Dom, you're going to lack, at least in the DPS department.
He is completely reliant on having either S4 or maybe Gujar
Blink out.
again, the blink. No damage on him whatsoever. They quickly surround that mid-tier 1 tower, though, and it looks like we will finally get that trade-off. But this time around, it's going to be Fenrir caught as he takes that tier 2 tower. They tried to get the extra kill, but it looks like this time the TP will complete.
The good news, though, for OG is that they finally get something on the map. They get the tier 1 tower mid. They desperately needed that. It just opens up Jerax's game now, too. It allows them to not have to force somebody over there at all times, because it's always in your mind. It's like, the mid lane is pushing in, I've got to deal with that at all times. Lana, gonna run into No Tail. No Tail blocking with his Centaur in case the hook shot falls in.
Yeah, you could already see the change of movement here from OG. Now that the mid-tier 1 tower is gone, they can play a lot more in that Radiant jungle instead of being forced to constantly be in that top lane.
I'd kind of like them to switch things up, though. Ideally, I think S4 plays bottom and No Tail plays up at top.
Why is that?
Just because I think it's a lot more dangerous for S4 to be there. Whereas if you're No Tail, because you're a faceless Void, you feel a lot more comfortable making those aggressive moves over.
Do you think part of it is that S4 wants to be able to occasionally threaten that offlane tower?
I don't think so,
Since he does
because
have some-
grabbing that tier 1 tower is going to be really hard at this point. It's only taken like 35 points of damage.
Yeah.
Like the likelihood of that tower falling to a single hero.
Centaur stun. A little bit of overlap there with Ori's stun, so they're just going to have to throw down the Doom. I don't think 11 wanted that to happen. I think he hoped that they could just chain the stuns properly, that he wouldn't have to be able to blow that big cooldown, but still, in the end, they get a Void kill. He'll find the Helm of Dom creep as well.
Yeah, and their ability to just fold No Tail right now doesn't really deal damage. He's in this really awkward growing phase where his items, He wants to go for the Lincoln Sphere, but he really lacks the damage.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have any defensive abilities.
I mean, their team fight is so reliant on being able to get that Chronosphere to be able to create space for Gyro and Leshrac to set up. Like, which one do you value more? Do you value Void to be more of a self-sufficient core and have some damage of his own, or do you think making sure he always gets the Chronosphere and always gets the initiation for his team? Which is more important?
I think he just has to be an initiation bot in a game like this.
Okay.
His other cores need farm. Like a hero like Leshrac, the best part about this hero is that he's very efficient at farming. You just get the one level of the Pulse Nova. It's incredibly mana efficient to farm neutrals. Same with Gyrocopter. Like, these are flash farmers. These are heroes that are just going to soak up more space on the map. So No-Tail, he can't really treat himself as a traditional core.
So you agree with his choice then of the Lincolns?
I mean, that's why he's going for the Helm of Dom, right? He's playing that Sumail-esque role where he's using his creep to shove in. I know people are gonna meme me for that, but he's gonna shove the lanes.
Hey, we haven't had too many casts together.
Yeah,
I
just
missed
like,
your
I haven't casted in like
shove.
2 months, so you know I'm gonna that one was a fan service one.
BKB almost complete. Oh no, it's not even close for Old 11. He's actually only got one piece of the 3 parts puzzle. But still, when he does get that BKB, that's gonna be real nasty.
This is Queen of Pain, trying to get a BKB, like you said. Ags. You get the 12. You think you get the 12 CDR in a situation like this? Because normally you would get the attack speed. Because most of the time you get something like the Orchid, right?
Yeah.
And it pairs up quite nicely.
But here, because you've got this Aghanims build,
Just going Ags BKB. I think this would be like one of the few situations I would be okay
okay,
with the CDR.
I'm kind of okay with it. Just because, again, it'll help him keep up that farm.
It's like a 35-second ult. It's quick. That's like an AA Ice Blast.
It's almost once every creep wave. The extra 35 damage for the Dragonite. Pretty important. OG currently set up around this offlane tier 1 tower. They know how difficult it is to take. That's why they preemptively set up as a team around the area. See if they can intercede if any of the ViCi Gaming's members try and defend. But that's not the case. ViCi Gaming are just going for a push of their own, the other side of the map.
Yeah, they are going to grab this tier 1 tower. OG is not showing right now on the map, but it should be abundantly clear that S4 would not go for a full HP tier 1 tower by himself.
Look at that. The value of Helma Dominator right now. Opening up space with that Satyr creep to be able to allow the creeps to be able to push into that mid-tier 2, just free damage. They bring the creeps over to the top lane where they will be able to farm it. But ViCi Gaming still pushing for that tier 2.
I think in this situation, OG will be happier about this trade.
Because they're behind in net worth, so it's better for them to be able to get any kind of gold.
It's not just that. It's like, if you want a team fight on the side of OG, you could just eat it, and you get so much more.
Yeah.
Whereas if you think about the way that ViCi's fights will look like, if they win the team fight, they'll most likely have used the DK form at that point, right? And Doom and Queen of Pain with an Aghanim Scepter aren't necessarily the best at just hitting towers.
Yeah.
So you're going to get more value out of that, just because if you do end up winning a team fight, you're around that top tower, you can make plays around that.
So you know ViCi Gaming doesn't really want to fight Dragon Forms down. Meanwhile, OG, they took tier 2s, they have nothing down. They can go for something like straight up Roshan, they're fight ready.
This is kind of the benefit of why that play makes a lot of sense to me. It's just because ViCi can't really punish that play, whereas OG can.
Paparazzi, I think they totally understand that Roshan is going in
it's
right
dead.
now. Says, we can't really fight. We don't have that Dragon Form ready to go. I just take a double damage, get some damage onto that tier 3.
I like that idea to go for the Roshan. I think that's a really smart play. Like OG, since the laning phase at least, have made good, clear decisions for me anyways. Like everything that they've done for the most part makes sense.
5k gold lead still there for ViCi Gaming, but OG does have that Aegis and the opportunity to utilize it. Plus,
I mean, they have the best team fight spell in the game.
They have the best team fight spell, so surely that also means they have better late game?
It's awkward, because the 3 cores on the side of ViCi are still very farmed.
Yeah.
It'll come down to what kind of chronos you get. Like, a disproportionate amount of this game is going to go on to No-Tail, because your forward position is a Night Stalker, right? It's like, he's going to give you vision in the fights, and he's going to be annoying to the support, sure, but he's not in the same vein as a Tusk or a Sand King, right? Where you have this massive team fight ult.
Ori, He does have a BKB, but he's not really feeling threatened enough to pop it. Meanwhile, bottom lane. Oh, hookshot. That's going to whiff onto Seb. Managed to dodge that one. Throws out the ultimate. See if he can chase down hold 11. S4. Oh, they barely managed to finish him off. There goes that Aegis. But at the same time, Doom was used. They picked up 2 kills, making a third. Lanham is not making out of here alive. That's going to be 14-14 in the OG's favor.
They're going to grab this bottom tier 2 as well. So think about this, is whenever they win a team fight, they can transition pushes very easily.
Yeah.
There's the same thing does not really exist from ViCi. Like ViCi's best move right now is for Paparazzi to just sort of split the map. But look at this move from OG. They're going to show one hero at bottom. ViCi will assume that everyone is still down there, and they're going to look for the kill with the chrono. This is playing to win right now.
And Paparazzi is a great target, but at the same time, he does have a
the scan pings. He should know. He pops the haste immediately. He wants to get out of here now. The chrono, he catches him.
It barely caught him, but they don't have any follow-up. Plus, he has that haste rune, so the slows are just not going to matter here. Blinks away, runs out. He's fine. Chronosphere down.
They didn't know about the haste?
It was such a smart play from OG, but it just ends up turning into ash in their hands.
Svenrear now going to find Jerex. Gets the banish off. Hero swarming in from the side of ViCi, but...
Thought about it. TP goes out.
Jerex
oh my
out.
god, he actually got that. Jump forward, 11 finds a different kill. That'll be on Fly.
I think the concept of the idea, though, is brilliant.
Yes.
It's like you show S4. It was a very similar situation to what they showed at top. It's like you keep showing people the same things, but once in a while you just vary things up, right?
Yeah.
So last time they showed S4 by himself pushing that tower, ViCi assumes everybody's behind him. They were correct in this assumption. They do the exact same thing at bottom where they win a team fight. ViCi assumes, okay, they're just going to grab that tower and we'll be okay with that. They go for the extra play, trying to get Paparazzi.
Or he makes a jump forward. The hook shot to follow it up. Does
know there's no
onto
chrono.
the Night Stalker, but Seven's in a good position to be able to get a really good ultimate out. The BKB, Popeye Ori's going to ignore all of that. Disruption goes down, trying to save a little bit of time. Jerex ends up falling. Now they're just trying to chase Ori as best as possible. With his
BKB's out.
Now down. The magic damage can easily do its work. Underneath the tower, looks like the Clockwork's going to die. Ori's definitely dead. The Quap gets off a really good ultimate, though, to be able to finish off S4, keeping his other 2 allies alive. Lanham and 11 barely survived through that.
Very nicely done. ViCi, I mean, from both teams, really. ViCi understanding the fight. They know there's no chrono up. They wanted to try to take advantage of that. Their team just got split a little bit, and Seb's positioning in that team fight was glorious. Not going to get a lot better than that, but at best right now, that was a 2-for-2 trade. He did, by the way, get the cooldown reduction talent.
Okay. You think he also gets the AoE strike? Shadow Strike? I've seen a lot of Quaps been doing that.
Oh, runs in the fly.
He gets off enough time to be able to throw down a Maledic, which kind of forces Paparazzi into popping that BKB, so at least his life is worth something. And that something is 1 BKB charge.
But look at the cooldown. Because of the arcane rune that was popped, his ult's already back up.
S4 pumps it, gets it. Split Earth straight up onto Mr. Cat. He's already dead, but a Chronosphere is already out. They managed to go, oh no, hold 11. He jumped into it. Tries to go for the Centaur stun, misses because BKB is already out. 11 just has to full out retreat. Turns around, gets a little bit more Infernal Blade damage. Onto No-Tail. No-Tail dangerously low. Finally managed to jump away. The Dragon Tail finally faded, and he was able to heal all of that damage. ViCi Gaming still looking to kind of fight here despite being all half HP, but OG have already backed out. They use their Chronosphere. They don't want to continue to engage.
Paparazzi's getting a lot of value on that arcane rune. He almost had a 3rd ult up in that engagement. The arcane rune doing work. 35-second ulti. It is doing a lot of damage, but OG, they're starting to close this gap right now. Only 2K. We talked about it. They're making the right reads on the game. And No-Tail finds a very nice Chronosphere.
No, there's so much pressure on No-Tail.
He has to overperform in this game.
Think about the checklist. Not get doomed.
Not get
just
doomed.
to start, just don't get doomed. All
Get
right?
minimum of a core and find the SD.
And
Otherwise, the SD is just going to disrupt.
It would be great if you got off the Chronosphere before they pop BKB.
Yes.
You know, if you could also get that, be super helpful for your Gyrocopter.
Jerex.
And your S4 Jerex. Hookshot misses,
clipped.
but the Sonic Wave does not.
His job has to be, it's an unreal amount of pressure, but it's a major. You got to perform when it matters. It's a best of 1. This is the best time to do so.
It is a best 1 against the Katowice finalists.
Oh, the stun. I agree with this
That
choice.
hell
Kill
of
that
Dom.
thing. That's 200 gold in your pocket. Cash money.
Oh, but you were clowning on the Devour earlier?
What?
200 gold, cash money.
No, it's different. You can't use that.
Okay. It's even more because Devour is gold. It's extra gold.
I don't, you're still eating a centaur.
Did you see that attempted centaur stompy?
Yeah, it was sick.
Hit 2 BKBs, Will. 2.
If they didn't have BKBs in this theoretical world,
If Dota didn't have a magic immunity
Woo.
item,
it's like what's the Facebook equivalent of like us clipping it? What is that? Somebody live that.
share it with your Facebook friends.
What is it? It's like what if they were just like, you know, instead of just like emotional frog. All right, they're gonna jump onto this clockwork.
Clockwork is dead. 11's just chilling out
they
here,
got
but he
+1?
chilled a little bit too long.
Oh
No tail found him. Now he's stuck inside the Chronosphere. He pops his BKB, but
He
surely
is
that's
so
a futile
dead.
effort. They have the helmets on Creep to be able to lock him down with the ensnare. And come on, we're gonna get this right. We're gonna get this. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, and
little
look
bit.
at this. Now you're in a position where maybe you can force out some buybacks. This is the best part about playing less track, is that you somehow are given an ability to also hit towers on top of the incredible amount of magic damage you do in fights.
He has quite the unique skill set. And that skill set is all of them.
All of it. You just do everything. You're good at everything.
Yep. So tier 3 going to be threatened. There is now a buyback on the Doom, but something tells, okay, they are going to go for it. Straight up, Dragon Tail, TP in, see if they can finish off S4. He gets off the BKB. Old 11 trying to chase
Doom,
things
though.
down. He doesn't want a Jarek's kill. That's just a Night Stalker. He bobbed back for more, but he's not going to find it. The Doom onto S4, slowly taking him down. I wonder, can they actually chase him all the way out here? He managed to
find
get
the
the
angles.
player spotting some of these heroes. He also caught Sebastian. Paparazzi on his tail. Sebastian pops the BKB. TP's out. S4 spotted for a moment.
They're all
Not gonna be
gone.
fast enough. Everyone's out from OG. The buyback is a failure. All they got was a Night Stalker kill.
And Jerax, you saw that moment, like Titanic, when Jack gives up the plank of wood. There was enough space on that thing, but he said, no worries. I'll die for this one.
What a hero Jarex is.
Dude, he honestly knew his job right there. He just ran in, he's like, I'm dying for this. Everyone get out.
He didn't have to, but he wanted to.
This was my sacrifice to you.
Level 20 pickup. Big increase in Pulse Nova damage.
That's like the extra layer of being a support player. It's like, you just gotta know this is expected of you.
And Jarex is doing that wonderfully. This entire game, he has been
died a lot.
straightforward, always running at the enemy, either
Another
scouting them out in this situation where they're going to be able to get a kill onto Ori, popped his BKB, but he's not going to be able to make it out. 11 trying to bail out his buddy, but now he may be in trouble too, as No-Tell, sure enough, is going to go for the Chronosphere every single
And he
time.
doesn't have buyback.
Why not on a Doom? It's so worth it. A dieback as well. 60 seconds on the clock. Lonham, he's also spotted. He's going to have to go for some sort of cogs play. Split Earth, not going to land. Good pushbacks onto Jarex.
He's gonna get chased
is
out.
leading them away from the base. Anything to keep his tier 3s alive.
I actually don't know if this is worth it for
This
OG.
is not worth it for OG.
Lonham's
in my
still
mind.
alive.
Look at this guy. He is rolling out. He's got a Crimson Guard still, and they might just be able to find Paparazzi, though. That would certainly be worth it. Lonham's dead. Over to Paparazzi. He's already blinked himself away, though.
If they could get an Aegis out of this, I'd be incredibly satisfied if I were OG. But you probably could have transitioned that into a tier 2 tower push and maybe even at least assaulted the tier 3.
Fly. Go back in. Go back in.
There was a
Roshan
lot-
just spawned.
That was an ultra space creating death. And now they're going to go back for it, think to themselves, okay, this was what we needed to do in the first place. But now all the heroes are starting to respawn on the side of ViCi. So this tier 2 tower is going to be the best that you get. And maybe you transition this into a Roche. That's the best case scenario right now.
OG, it really seems like they're putting a priority on making sure they're always moving, right? They're not just like going for these pushes and slowly backing out. They're always like making these TP maneuvers to try and catch the split pushing hero. Paparazzi had to play a pretty careful game in that regard, as Jarex is always trying to find him out.
Yeah, this is the best thing that Jerax is doing so far. Is he just runs in and gives his team all the vision in the world. He's like, I don't care if I die at this point.
Yeah.
I'm tanky enough.
And again, he's
Yeah,
going to do it.
they're-
He's sitting on the low ground, knowing that he can possibly get away, or he's going to go for it. Goes for the Dragon Tail stun, but that was the
low
really
right now.
target. Surely S4 was better. S4 sitting at the front lines with a BKB. He's threatening everyone back while Ori is deep in deep land. He's trying to fight this out with the rest of entirety of OG. He's certainly dead, and so is Lanham. Old 11 tries to come in, goes for S4, immediately Yule Sceptered up, managed to get the BKB, a 3-man Centaur stun. Don't think it's going to do anything, Old 11. You are still dead. ViCi Gaming lose 3 just outside of the Roshan pit. Aegis and Cheese for OG.
That was one of the worst fights that they could have taken. They're going up that little cliff. I think Lanham even blocked them out a little bit. It was so awkward. Seb, with the call downs, places it very neatly. They isolate the fight almost completely. Ori had no chance of getting back up in that engagement.
I mean, he blinked forward and Dragon Tailed the Night Stalker too.
This is
like,
Jerix's. This is the second level of what he's doing right now. He's representing this giant target. His team is responding to his movement too. You notice that they're not just letting him hang out to die. They're always in that area, making sure we're gonna at least trade you out. Don't worry about it. We'll be there for you, my friend.
Octarine Core means 26.5-second cooldown on Sonic Wave.
But what does it matter if you can't take the team fight successfully?
You can kill those creeps. Good job, but OG, you're still taking your tier 3. Gonna go for the melee racks. Lanham pops forward. Doesn't get the Cox pushback. Instead, sucks Seb in even deeper, where Old 11 will be able to finish him off. That's just the Aegis.
Got the Aegis.
He still has the BKB on his second life as well. Ori managed to get the Dragon Tail, but a Chronosphere on a 2. S4 is not going to be able to follow that up, though. Ori's already pushed the rest of them back. No Tail doesn't have any damage by himself, so he's forced to try and run himself away, but Old 11 is going to be able to track him down with
Solar
his Blink
Crescent
Dagger.
up, 1
He
second
can get
for the-
one more jump, but the Infernal Blade not quite enough. Anu comes out, Paparazzi has another Sonic Wave, because again, 26-second cooldown. OG, though, they gladly trade No Tail's life. They may have gotten the Chronosphere, but no damage followed up. All that damage, it was laid into a melee Rax.
When you can't deal with the waves, this is what happens. ViCi, yes, you have Paparazzi, but he doesn't even feel that comfortable moving around the map. He feels like he has to be with his team at all times. That means when they do get core kills like this, it just doesn't feel as impactful as when OG gets core kills. When OG gets core kills, they almost always transition it into a push. Somebody is always dealing with the waves. The only time they were somewhat unsuccessful with that was when Lanham created all the space in the world by running them haggard around the circle.
Whoa, Seb, he does not have BKB here, not for another 12 seconds. He is
completely dead.
completely out of position.
And ViCi need to make something happen with this. As 11 commits the Doom for that. And Ori, this time around, you've got Dragon Form. Didn't need to commit it for that kill. Maybe they start heading towards that mid lane. They pop the Shrine, Fenrir. Gonna heal up a little bit, and I think you want to try to at least force the buyback if possible. This is not a hard commit. This is a very soft commit. You walk up the hill, you see if this gyrocopter is gonna go for the buyback. But the scary thing about this is that No Tail, he's got the chrono up in 20 seconds. ViCi,
So the
they
plan
should
for
know.
OG, they're going to hold on to that buyback until
You just
the
wait.
Chronosphere is
Yeah,
on
you
the
see what happens. ViCi is in a really weird position because, and yeah, you want to at least do something because you finally won a team fight, or at least you found a kill.
But you don't want to end up into a game-losing team fight.
Yes.
You get caught by Chronosphere, no buybacks.
This is a really easy way for you to just straight up lose the game as well.
The double siege wagons are dead. It's entirely up to Ori to put the damage on that tier 3 Ron. The player scouting out some of these heroes. They finally make
Here's
their
the commit.
initiation. Commitment made. No buyback for the gyrocopter. They held it.
ViCi just kind of poking, seeing what they could get. And OG were incredibly disciplined. As were ViCi though. But now with Dragon Form down, and Seb respawning, I'd imagine they want to go for an engagement of their own. They've almost got this Aghanim Scepter onto No Tail. This is just going to give them more rolls of the dice in regards to his ultimate.
Jerix again just poking his head out. Finally, the Aghanim Scepter is done for No Tail. You said he had to play the just pure initiation role, and he's doing that. Helm Adam Lincoln's into an Aghanim Scepter, so you know he can have that lower cooldown on the Chronosphere.
And to his credit, hasn't been doomed.
Nope.
Has gotten very decent chronos off.
And they're spotting a lot on him right now. Jerix has just stayed outside of vision thanks to his nighttime advantage. Just barely ahead of him.
Commit it.
They can throw down the Chronosphere whenever they want now for these kind of pickoffs. It is well worth it. The Chronosphere cooldown is going to be almost the same as the Clockwork's Death Timer.
Question is, what else do you commit right now? As OG still seem reticent to go for these full-on assaults, go for the high ground attempts.
I mean, OG could probably just chill out and wait for the next Roshan, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine that's your next play, because that's just going to be your counter to the one big team fight ult that they have in the Doom.
Yeah.
So you just grab an Aegis, put it on the most important core, which I'd imagine is a gyrocopter at this point, and let him go to town.
You can still take some outer objectives. The shrines are available to you just to increase that goal lead even further. Now up to 8K
Radiant's
for
bottom
OG.
shrine has fallen.
They are just one good team fight away from being able to claim victory against ViCi Gaming in this best of one.
Radiant are scanning.
Halberd into a Mjolnir for the Dragonite. Trying to get some damage out, but honestly, it's hard to see how this Dragonite and Queen of Pain, especially with this Queen of Pain, these Aghanims builds, not being able to transition into that sort of right-clicking build we see a lot of core Lenas try and do.
She's kind of annoying, but it doesn't really
Not
feel like
enough.
OG cares that much.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, well, you ulted us. There goes that.
You killed the creep wave, but we're already inside your base.
And you've almost got the level 25 talent too on the Slash. Hookshot comes in.
Push back there
Paparazzi.
from the Cogs. They managed to get a Shadow Strike. See if they're just trying to like force out a BKB or something, not making the full commitment.
They're trying to see what OG's reaction would be. OG just gonna back up for a second.
2 minutes until Roshan is back up. OG do not want to get caught with their pants down, do not want to go for a high ground push right now and end up losing that fight and give up control of the Roshan pit.
Right now, I need Paparazzi to put more pressure on the lanes. He needs to sort of mirror S4, because S4 is being so aggressive.
You think he's just got to kind of accept the fact that he might get picked off?
Yeah, and I think part of it too is that he's anticipating team fights that aren't necessarily coming. This is also the downside, I think, of ViCi, is that they always think that a fight is ready.
Yeah.
So they're almost always just grouped up together thinking like, okay, this is going to be the one. But it almost always just ends up being Jirax sort of like, I'm walking around. It's like, we'll see what happens.
I think that was a big criticism of ViCi Gaming at DAC, was the fact that they weren't really, they were so conservative in their approaches, right?
I mean, when it works, it looks really smart. But in games like this, it's OG that are almost always taking the risks.
Yeah.
Right now, they're smoked up right in front of the base. They're waiting for somebody to try to defend this. Paparazzi uses his ult at bottom.
And they found him. They managed to get the Chronosphere. S4 charges
over the
forward.
top.
See if he can land the split earth. Hookshot is going to be able to interrupt that one, but it's not going to be good enough. BKB pop. Paparazzi still goes down, and now there's going to be a cooldown even if he buys back. A Dragon Tail stun onto Nailtail. Good for a staff away. Lanham feel a lot hurt, though. The Crimson Guard is going to be able to protect the buyback coming out from Paparazzi. Does not result in an immediate fight. OG are able to disengage here. Another buyback used by ViCi Gaming and another failure to be able to get anything out of it.
Yeah. They commit the chrono, but the Aghanim Scepter decision means just run it back in 20 seconds again, and if you find that Queen of Pain, kill her, end this game. The Dragon Form was committed too. I mean, OG have a lot of, they just constantly have options to play with. The way that their lineup works. Whereas ViCi, whenever you commit one of those major ults, there goes the fight. Can't really push off of that. Feels very awkward fighting into this void.
That's why it's so important for ViCi Gaming to be able to get control of the Roshan pit. But OG, they're going to abuse that.
Look at this Edict talent.
It is destroying that melee Rax. Plus 50 with the explosions. Ori tries to make his initiation. Now the Dragon Form is down. Is this really the fight you want to be able to take? What a beautiful Cogs bouncing him back, and they manage to get the Doom
They caught
onto
Nailtail.
the Void. That is so huge. Ori just choking up the damage right now of Seb while they finish up that Faceless Void.
But this
Dragonite will eventually go
gyrocopter-
down, but it's all up to Paparazzi to deal up the damage. Another Split Earth coming out. 11, trying to put some damage onto S4 as quick as possible. Seb is not being allowed to heal whatsoever thanks to that Spirit Vessel. Ori with the buyback. They tried to go back in with the Doom. They had to get the Centaur stun onto Seb. He will end up falling. S4 is still going to try and man up here with the Infernal Blade. Another one onto
Look
S4.
at that Edict
but
talent
slowly
go!
but surely working down the Doom. Finally, he gets bursted. Yule Scepter buys him a little bit of time, and he
Gets the
will
denied.
get the Bloodstone denied.
And this is sort of the problem right now for ViCi, is that when you hard commit for the Doom onto the Gyro, or onto the Faceless Void, the other two cores succeed. Consistently, they still deal a lot of damage, but not the worst fight in the world. They had to commit some buybacks. Both Ori and Lon M. We talked about how Paparazzi doesn't have his anymore either. So all 3, or 2 of the cores at least, don't have buyback.
And this team, ViCi Gaming, can't just funnel into the Roshan pit even if it was up, so there's no threat.
There's no real right
To
clickers on
OG.
their team.
Yeah.
We talked about Paparazzi's build. You don't have this Orchid. You don't right click for very much. No Maelstrom or anything like that.
Yep.
You're just really annoying to creep waves. You're like the bane of creep waves.
He's trying to finish up a Shiva's. Again, trying to utilize that cooldown reduction and all the magic damage he has, but it's not looking good. At 45 minutes into the game, we have well entered into that late game territory.
They finally found a very good fight, though. Getting the Doom onto No-Tail is very crucial.
I mean, it required Lana to hit some sort of crazy-ass
Yes.
2-man hook shot, 3-man cogs pushback.
And that's what wins games.
All right, well,
Got to overperform at this point. No-Tail has so far done so.
yeah, he
Now it's up to
certainly has.
ViCi. They want to even up this game. 17K behind.
Finally, just a Maelstrom there for the Dragon Knight. Again, trying to pick up that damage that just is lacking from ViCi Gaming's side right now. Full Mjolnir, actually.
Are scanning.
If there's any time to buy out, it is definitely right now. The scan out from OG. They have some ideas about
No-Tail,
what's
he's
happening
invist
here.
up. His creep is finding them.
He's gonna be able to get it. No! The blink forward from Ori and the BKB activated by the Doom. This is looking like a bad fight. This big fight comes out. Witch Doctor's already dead. And the S4 down to half HP already. Physical damage coming out from
middle of
Ori.
everything
but
right now.
He's having such a hard time dealing with the magic damage. He's gonna lose this duel out to S4. S4 walks himself away from that one. Paparazzi, he knows he has to go back in. He knows he has to finish up that deadly dancing pony, and they will be able to get it. 11. Disruption, buying him a little bit of time. He managed to get the Doom onto No-Tail. He won't survive, though. Finally,
Flies
damage
ult.
comes out. But Seb, he's here
They
with
get the stun on the
missile.
Queen.
The stun onto Paparazzi. He's dead. 120 seconds on the clock. Lanup's not going to be able to TP out either. It looks like the missile will finish him off. They only have a buyback on 11. And OG, they have everyone. They could just swarm the base right now. They know they have accomplished it. They should be able to take down ViCi Gaming here in this best of one.
Very nice positioning from the side of OG Seb.
A last-ditch effort here from ViCi Gaming. They're going to try and go for the gyrocopter kill. 11, putting some damage on him bit by bit, but Jarek's already managed to kill the Shadow Demon. He does have a buyback, though.
They're going to go for it, but the Chrono,
A straight-up Chronosphere onto 11.
They knew Doom.
He does have the BKB. See if he can pop it, be able to get back to base, but it's futile. The physical damage is far too much from OG.
GG, well played.
OG.
This was,
They look great.
yeah, this was as complete a performance as I've seen from them in quite some time. Yes, it is a best of one, but that was very promising. Their 3 cores were phenomenal in that game. I was about to say, well, Seb was, his positioning, that's an MVP-like play with the gyrocopter, but at the same time, No-Tail with the Chronospheres, his item choice.
Yep.
But at the same time, S4,
S4 was
Did
just
so
a boss.
many- it was like
he
all
was
through
just
the
dealing
course.
tons of damage with that Leshrac.
everybody stepped up when it mattered on the side of OG. We talked about how No-Tail had to overperform in this game. Absolutely did.
And it just seems like OG's just picking up the steam, right?
Yeah.
They're bit by bit learning every single tournament they go to, even if they're not placing those top 4 finishes that I'm sure they would love to be able to have. They're still getting some decent results in these group stages. They're still learning from all their opponents. And after all, they're a team that can't really go for the DPC points anyway. So it's all about learning at this point for them. All learning for
I really hope,
TI.
by the way, that the panel does talk about the Queen of Pain item build, because it was just, it put them in such an awkward position. They couldn't really threaten Roshan, towers. It's just odd.
Well, I mean, that's a good question for our panel. Paul, I don't know. What do you think about that Queen of Pain build? I would love to know your thoughts on it, that's for sure.
Thanks, Austin. Yeah, I don't know if my thoughts are particularly relevant when it comes to the build items, because I have no idea what the hell they're doing. Great game. What a great start we've had today. We've been really spoiled, haven't we, boys, by 2 fantastic games to start things off. Do you want to take that question, Purge?
Yeah, I got this. I've actually played Co-op recently, and I went for an Ags build, and it seems amazing. You're like, I got this low cooldown ultimate. I can ulti every single gank, every single team fight, and it looked really good for ViCi Gaming as well, because they had this like laning advantage from just having the great lane matchups. They really took it to OG in the early game. But the problem is that, like, with that advantage, if he had an Orchid, he could just keep getting solo kills on hero, and then it's going to force everybody on OG to play really defensively. So it's like, yes, he could be there to put out the damage every single fight, but even by the time you get it, it's like you need that item to like come out a little bit faster, I feel, and then you need Orchid instead to just get kills and set tempo and increase the game.
Yeah, I felt like the point that that I was thinking is just like Will kind of mentioned a little bit. He's just an ultimate in a lot of these engagements. Sure, he's gonna get a couple screams off and blinks in and all that, but that's really all he's doing in the game, and he's playing a 1 technically in this game as the Queen of Pain in the position. So you want to be able to get something else. You want to be able to go to Rosh, hit Rosh, go to buildings, hit buildings, or get into some AC Shivas, like some type of build like that. We've seen people take like the damage talents and all that in order to do it. I did think, sure, the item build hurt them, but I also thought OG played really well, in particular the 3 cores. And I mean, pretty much everybody, I don't want to like, it's gonna sound mean to Fly, I love you Fly, but I think he probably had like a little bit of the lower performance. I thought Jerax was on point, piercing the backlines, constantly giving information, and then the 3 cores on OG were spectacular. So sure, we can harp a little bit on Paparazzi's item build, but I thought OG played really well around it.
No-Tell especially, like I was a little unsure about his playstyle that game, just like he loves to combine Hell with the Dominator, not weird for him to do it on a Void as well, but he played fully sacrificial, thinking like, I'm here to set up team fights, I'm not even farming. He had like treads queued up for like 20 minutes, and I was like, please get treads so you can actually hit creeps, but he's like, nope, I can't do this, I need to get Lincolns to cover my cores, to win team fights. Like he was there to facilitate his cores and get them past that like dangerous early part of the game where they knew they would lose against the lane matchups.
I'm actually really glad you brought that up, because there's one instance where I did see in the mid fight, they were pushing mid, and he threw the Lincolns onto S4 and it blocked the Doom, I think. So, yeah, I'm glad you actually did point that one. He was, I mean, this was like the cookie cutter, like I always call him, like it's the bro tail. He gives himself up, he lets his other guys shine, and he landed some great Chrono Spheres this game.
On the VG side, what do you make of that, Kevin?
Shadow Demon is not very useful. Like I think they paired him with Doom. He could increase the damage that they dealt against heroes. So against like Fly had a slightly harder laning stage. And later on, he basically forces Leshrac to knock at Yules first, which was beneficial. But by the time he finished Bloodstone, and then like later on his third item was Yules, and it was just like, all right, well, that's all Shadow Demon can do. And he never really was in the right position to disrupt under a Chronosphere. Not that there was like a lot of like crucial like Chrono guy gets killed kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like they're all pretty close, but he felt like he was never really there for those. He went Aether Lens into Blink Dagger, which is like pretty standard for SD. It's just his hero doesn't do anything later, other than like Soul Catcher amplifying damage. So, but it's just not a very good hero. And he didn't even have anybody on his team to disrupt for illusions. It was like his opponents are nothing. That's all he had. Based on the fact that they picked the Quap Blast because it gave him the good lane matchup, but then it made SD just a crap hero. It's like, what's the point of having SD now other than countering a Yule Scepter? An item.
Exactly, yeah.
An item. If that was like Death Prophet, I'd be like, okay, cool. Don't let her use Yule's killer. But against Leshrac, who's just dealing damage, he can just buy Bloodstone and become really tanky. It's just not good enough. It's not worth picking SD.
Yeah, it's an impressive display though from OG, isn't it? To come through this map. When they looked at this group, they would have looked at VG as the hardest team they could play in the first game, but actually probably the one they wanted to play, bearing in mind it's a best of 1, because they're probably their better chance. No disrespect to OG, but it's a better chance against VG in a best of 1 surely for them than it is best of 3.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they came out shining. I saw very minimal mistakes. I think I saw like maybe Jerax with like 1 or 2. I think the only glaring mistake I saw in the game was when Mad got picked off bottom and he gave like 1,500 gold. Other than that, super crisp game. So yeah, best of 1. Looked good for them.
And we weren't too worried about the role switches this time around. We've mentioned it obviously in the pre-match and talked about the fact that they can be a bit inconsistent because of it, but it looked fine this time.
I thought this one was fine just because it was technically No-Tail playing off lane. Yeah. Mad was playing carry, which he's done before. Everybody was basically on their role. And No-Tail has played Void a lot in the last couple years for them, and his playstyle wasn't that different. So yeah, the role swapping was completely fine that game. They stabilized just enough to get to the mid game where they could start winning fights and get into the game and be like, hey, we actually have carries. We can win now.
They seem to start feeling very comfortable. Like lanes, sure, ViCi favored, but then afterwards you could see it's like, No-Tail's like, I'm playing Void. Yes. Lash, S4's
very happy.
Lash is playing S4, I almost said. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's sometimes the other way around.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Who plays who.
Very comfortable, and they just naturally rode off it after that early game.
Okay, good stuff. We're going to move on. Our next match is just around the corner. It is a Group C matchup, this time between Optic Gaming and Newbie. Both need the points in the DPC as well, but we'll find out who goes through, and we'll give you an update on the other game in Group B. We'll be back very soon.